a show that wrapped up this past weekend, Made for Love. We didn't talk about the premiere, but we're talking about the ending, and that's all that matters, right? Got here by the end. Starring Kristen Milotti, Billy Magnuson, Ray Romano, who's just been doing a lot of
Yes.
acting now, like
He's been
real
doing a lot of
acting.
dramatic work, really.
Yeah.
Like, remember The Irishman, for example?
Yep. Irishman. And then he was also in the Kumail movie.
That's right. Big
Can't
Sick.
remember. Yes, Big Sick. So, um, this was a nice little watch, I'd say. Not not a perfect show. I think we'll get into it. Dark comedy, so the tone of that can be hit or miss. And this is really like Black Mirror meets Silicon Valley to me in a lot of ways,
Huh.
or like
Yeah.
at least attempting to kind of mesh those two together. Um, but really, I think the thing to talk about is Kristen Milotti, who just seems to be a star on the rise at this point after Palm Springs this past year. But what did you think of Made for Love?
Yeah, so this is actually the first Max Originals show we've discussed. There haven't been too many, but they've actually gotten a pretty solid reception. Remember, these are shows on HBO Max, but not actually made by HBO. It's a different silo at Warner Media, but still, obviously, you're not watching them at the same place. To the average person, they probably don't know the difference. But The Love Life with Anna Kendrick was one of these. The Flight Attendant with Kaylee Cuoco was one of these as well. That sci-fi show Raised by Wolves. Now we have Made for Love. So the Max Originals coming in at this point, first one for us. And yeah, Kristen Milioti, like, this is a vehicle for her, and it's not her doing anything she hasn't been doing of late. You mentioned Palm Springs. There's a lot of similar themes to that here for her character. And you also mentioned Black Mirror. She starred in one of the most acclaimed Black Mirror episodes of late, USS Callister. Again, with some similar themes in terms of being at the the whims and wills of a wealthy, influential tech bro with really powerful technology.
Good point.
Like, there's a lot of, I think, common through line she's doing here, but I don't mind it because she's just a really winning presence, and to give her a vehicle like this is great because she's awesome.
hmm Yeah, I just found her incredibly charming, and someone I want to spend time with. And Hazel is I wouldn't say like a really complex character, but I also wouldn't say that she's like one note either. I think there's a couple of sides that she had to play, and kind of seeing her go from this like trapped person to this very liberated, independent, strong person by the end of the show, I thought was a nice arc. um I think where maybe I felt a little bit tripped up at times, or I think the part that was really a difficult part of this all for me was Ray Romano's character, so her dad Herbert, carrying around the doll the whole time. um
Synthetic partner, might I
yes,
add?
the synthetic partner didn't totally hit for me. I felt like I got where I get where it got to at the end, and kind of like what they were trying to say about like Ray Romano kind of just settling for what his life was at that point, not wanting to like go out, make himself vulnerable, um, go through more heartbreak as he's reaching the end of his life, just be comfortable really. Um, and also accepting people for where they're at, right? So like that's also I think one of the points of the show is like accepting people for where they're at. But um yeah, the doll Diane, I think her name was.
Yeah.
I just became a little bit like I get it, like I don't need this
Right.
much of her.
I kind of wish there was some, like, it was the source of better jokes. It didn't really
Yeah,
end up leading to
a whole lot.
anything that great. Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
What did you think of Billy Magnuson as Byron Goggle?
Yeah, obviously a very on the nose name there.
hmm
Uh, not a character we haven't seen before. Again, in this kind of stuff, he's very what Zuckerberg-esque, essentially what the wealthy
Yeah.
uh, tech entrepreneur who's like Elon Musk, like Mark Zuckerberg, not a real person at all, and at least in our stereotypical view of them, incapable of being a real person and doing maybe even average things like a normal person, and that includes human interaction.
hmm
I like Billy Magnuson. He's been in a lot of stuff lately. He's definitely working, but I've always thought he was pretty talented. Whether it's like supporting roles like in Game Night or Maniac, on Netflix, of course, where he's reunited with Patrick Somerville, who's one of the producers on Made for Love. But yeah, I thought he was also a good choice, and him and Milioti had good chemistry. Like I believe both of their roles and like the relationship and the very up and down nature of it, like it all made
Mhm.
sense to me.
Yeah, I really liked his rapport with Bennett, played by Caleb Foote. I felt like they had a pretty funny back and
Definitely.
forth. Um, I also kind of liked how they had this like what was it called? It wasn't the sphere, the Oculus, right? Where like they could just like make anywhere that you want to be all the time.
Yeah, I forgot the name. The Cube. Some I
Yeah,
don't know.
something
Had
like
some
that.
name, right?
And I kind of liked how like they just constantly were like tricking people into like where they were, like, and then putting him through all like the simulations. I thought a lot of that stuff was pretty good.
Sending them off to pasture and
Pasture,
basically
yeah,
banishing them. That was well done. I like that.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, overall, I think this is a nice watch. I think you'll enjoy it, and it's pretty quick too. Like I found
Yeah.
these episodes digestible, so um, definitely worth checking out. Any other thoughts for you?
Yeah, yeah, I would say thankfully, like you said, it doesn't get too long in the tooth. It's less than
No.
4 hours in total. HBO Max has been doing for these Max originals where they drop, I think, was it three at the start, and then a little week to week, and then drop like the last one or two at the end. So a little
Mhm.
hybrid release there. But I wouldn't say that Made for Love like reinvents the wheel too much. Like there's nothing super I don't know, like thought provoking for this kind of like tech satire stuff. I feel like I feel like the average audience member at this point kind of has a more elevated view of this kind of stuff. Like we've seen a lot of Black Mirror at this point. Like
Mhm.
uh, it's iterative in a certain sense, but because the acting is well done, it's not too long. I think it's well worth the time. Uh, how did you feel about the end? That's the first time you get some like truly like philosophical stuff there, and Hazel almost becomes Billy Madison at the end there, right?
Yeah,
Making her a choice for her dad without him even knowing it. It's basically like the chip that had been in her head all season, right? Uh, I
yeah.
wasn't expecting something like that because the conflicts felt very accessible and easy to understand and follow to that point in the season, and then to
Mhm.
get this kind of like I wouldn't call it a twist, but like it was a little bit of a sharp turn. I felt like for Hazel, given what we had seen to that point.
Yeah, I think I thought the twist was good. It definitely made me think about like the ethics of it, as well as just why she would make that choice at this point in her life. And I really think the last episode being very leftovers esque in terms of just putting the two main characters face to face and making them have a conversation, and really getting somewhere. I think where I got to was Hazel must have felt like Byron, which I think his name is actually like Greg or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Um, could be a better partner to her in some ways, and that she also is like willing to like make the sacrifice for someone she loves.
Mhm.
And I also get the sense that she felt like her dad maybe was more willing to try things than or to try again that now that she was in his life. But yeah, I think it's a very like gray area in terms of the decision, and um, definitely left me feeling at least thoughtful and unsure. So what did you think about it though?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I
Yeah.
just kind of threw me off a little bit because I hadn't expected to see the turn like that, honestly.
And
But I guess it pays off everything we've been working to.
I wish that they had kind of worked that in a little bit more. Some of
Mhm.
these things. It kind of felt like the idea of like the chip and the made for love technology was kind of like black and white. Like this is bad, this is good. But if people as partners want to have something like that, doesn't have to be bad and good. I think there's more to explore with that. But it wasn't that type of show, which is I'm fine with. Um, check it out on HBO.